It is just about 13 minutes past noon at this hour here on Radio Noon. I'm Monique Lacombe, your host this week on the show. A Canadian group has started preparations to send a boat full of supplies to be part of a so-called Freedom Flotilla to the Gaza Strip. And you might remember the end of May when 9 people died and dozens were injured as an Israeli troops raided a Turkish ship full of supplies headed for Gaza. The raid drew international criticism and attention, but it was never clear who started the violence. Organizers of the Freedom Flotilla mission say they want to give humanitarian aid to Gaza, while at the same time protesting against the Israeli blockade, which severely limits the goods and services going in and out of Gaza. Now, with preparations being made for similar missions to Gaza, some people, including one of my guests today, say that freedom ships are not the best way to help the Palestinian people. And what do you think? Are freedom flotillas the best way to help the people of Gaza? Or are there other more efficient and peaceful, perhaps safer ways to come to the aid of the Palestinian people? Joining me now in studio is Ehab Lotayef. He's a writer and an activist in Montreal. He's involved in organizing to send a Canadian boat to Gaza in the fall, and he joins me now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So can you just explain for anybody who's new to this concept what exactly the aim of this is?
The aim of this is twofold. The first fold is to bring attention to the suffering of the people in Gaza that continues, despite the announcements that the blockade will be eased. Easing the blockade partially is not a solution. There's 1.5 million people living in Gaza. They're denied their basic supplies. Whatever easing happens gives them an extra percentage of what they need, but doesn't give them what they need. They're also prevented from trading with the outside world, i.e. making them dependent on international aid, which is, again, not the right way to have a people living. So the goal here is to bring attention and to take supplies into Gaza and to also take supplies out of Gaza from their produce to assert, even though symbolically, because these ships, no matter what they carry, will not fulfill the needs of the people in Gaza. It is a symbolic action in a way to bring the attention to the humanitarian problem and to say that the Israeli blockade of Gaza is illegal. It should not be there in the first place. And you mentioned earlier it's not clear who started the violence on the flotilla, but this flotilla was attacked in international waters. So it is obviously those who attack another ship in international waters are the ones who started the violence, regardless of the details after that. We want to also have Canadian public figures come on this ship, on our Canadian ship, to see for themselves what is the situation in Gaza and come back and speak about the problems that are in there. I had the opportunity or the missed opportunity to visit Gaza last year, and I saw how the place is, what's missing there, and I understand very well that there are lots of needs that are not met and will not be met except if Gaza becomes an open, normal country, asserting the freedom of people to move and the freedom of goods to go back and forth.
And can we just be clear in terms of, we're talking about the aim and the goal of this, you said it's twofold. How much of this is about the symbolism of it, the message that you're trying to get out, versus actually bringing goods to people in Gaza?
We will bring as much goods as we can to the people in Gaza, but we are aware that that will not solve their problem. Solving their problem is by pressure put by the international community as a whole, including Canada, to say that this is wrong and they should have the freedom to trade. So it's a humanitarian aid in all ways, but it's humanitarian physical and humanitarian message.
There, Ehab Lotayef, I just want to ask you, Salam al-Manyawi raising the point of the idea that, people have lost their lives for this cause already, trying to do similar things. What are your concerns on that level in terms of the safety of an operation like this?
This is going to be a very peaceful mission. People on the boats are going to have the maximum possible training in nonviolence and in passive resistance. We do not...
We do not. Also, the first.
Salam, sorry, if we can just finish this one answer before moving on, okay? Just a moment, please.
We do not minimize the danger, and we are very clear that we don't want it to happen again. But we also believe that the situation in Gaza is not going to be solved easily. We will have to sacrifice our time, our money. I believe that thousands of Canadians will sacrifice a lot to get this going. And I agree with Salam. I think we're getting closer in our vision here. And Salam is a friend for many years, so that the difference in opinion is not a problem at all. We are also supported already by the Canadian Muslim Forum. We're already supported by the Canadian Union of Postal Workers. We have wide support in the Canadian society. This is not a Muslim. The Canadian Boat to Gaza is not a Muslim community project. It's a Canadian-wide project. And we hope to have a large presence on Canadian society to say that the Canadian civil society is saying what the Canadian government is not, which is end the blockade. The people in Gaza do not deserve that suffering.
If we don't have a lot of time left, but I'd like to, just this short discussion that we've had, we could go on for much longer, I know. What are your feelings about how something like this that you're taking part in, about how it's going to be received on a wider basis? How do you think people are going to react?
There's going to be differences in opinion. There's going to be opposition, but the enthusiasm I am seeing, and I think it was reflected today from coast to coast. We're a working group between Halifax and Victoria, really, and gaining support as the hours pass. The amount of emails we get is huge. We think we're going to make it. We think it's important. We think it's going to bring awareness, and we are willing to listen to other points of view and other ways of doing it. If anybody wants to contact us, our website is very easy: CanadaBoatGaza, one word, .org, and there's an email link there, and there are Facebook pages there, and there is a Twitter account. So give us your opinion, whether you agree with us or not, but feeling is very, very positive, and our arms and hearts are open to everybody.
Thank you so much for making time to come in today, and I'm sure we're going to be following your progress over the months.